Hello and welcome to the Critically Curious Monk, and today, yes, we are back in Age of Mythology Retold. We're doing another guide video. Today's guide is going to be none other than Set. Now, we already done one for the Egyptians. The Egyptians are a very powerful and perhaps the most complicated race to actually play as. Set is a really interesting character, and I'm going to be telling you exactly why I think they are actually a very decent choice, both for your skirmishes and, of course, more importantly, those multiplayer matches. We also have an active and growing Discord. You can find the link for that down in the description. It'd be great to get more of you in the community so we can have some multiplayer matches in the future. Now, Set's main ability is that the pharaohs themselves can actually summon animals. Now, the further you go up in the ages, the better the animals that you can summon, but it's a really interesting thing. It does cost favor, however. Now, you also have the priest able to convert wild animals, and you have a 5% buff on spearman, axeman, and slinger speed. You've also got barracks, siege works, and stronghold costs reduced by 25%, and monuments reduce the cost of units that are nearby by 5%. Now, Set has perhaps one of the strongest early game passives in the game. He has Vision, which reveals a rather large portion of the map, meaning that you can scout with him. So amazing. He also has Clairvoyancy, where you can basically rinse and repeat Vision for no faith cost whatsoever. It is ridiculously overpowered. You also start the game with Baboon of Set. It's a beast that is possessed by the will of Set that will fight on your side. Moving on to age 2, we have Anubis. Now, the very first thing here is Plague of Serpents. It's not particularly strong, but it is something you can use to defend. You also get the Anubites, which is a myth unit, which is very good against human soldiers. It's also pretty quick. You can also buff your spearmen. It does divine damage and it attacks them over time. But what we're looking for is this. This bad boy will get your monuments to have an auto gather work rate on favor plus 25%. However, I actually prefer Ptah. He's bloody brilliant. First of all, you've got Shifting Sands. Now, Shifting Sands basically teleports. It's a small teleport, but it teleports your army to anywhere you can see. Now, remember, you have Vision, so you team up Shifting Sands with Vision, and you can literally teleport your army absolutely anywhere. Very overpowered, and if you use it correctly, if you use that combo correctly, so powerful. You've also got a myth unit which you can summon early, as it requires wood to summon it, not gold, not meat. So if you put a couple of people on wood, you tend to be able to get some early defense units in too. You also have the ability to buff a variety of different infantrymen, as well as make early farms very, very likely. Now, in age 3, we have Nephis, which isn't bad. Ancestors is very usable. Again, I like to use it for defending, really. It raises some troops for a short time that do a decent amount of damage. You have access to Scorpion men, which is a very powerful myth unit that got decent attack and they're quite meaty as well. Funeral rites, however, is what you kind of want this for, because for every human soldier that dies, you're going to get some resources back. The same with your heroes, so it's a really good thing for just rinse and repeat. Just keep your stocks high here. In war, many soldiers are going to die, so for me, I find that funeral rites is very, very useful. Here we also have the ability to buff our healers, which is our priests, and of course buff our pharaohs as well. Any kind of buff to your pharaoh is definitely a good thing. Now, my preferred choice in age 3 is Sekhmet. Now, the reason for that is the Citadels. The Citadels are a very powerful defense unit. It basically buffs your town center, gives it more health, gives it a little bit more attack as well. You also get access to scarabs, which is a really tanky unit which you can use well against buildings. And the rest that we get here are buffs to units, not just any normal units, however. We get buffs to Chariot archers, which is very powerful. We get buffs to slingers, to the scarabs themselves, and of course to our siege engines. At age 4, we get access to Thoth. This guy is my go-to, honestly. I've said why before in previous videos, but Meteor combined with Vision is so powerful. Honestly, Set, if you take Thoth, is just ridiculous. And on top of that, you also get the legendary Phoenix, which is perhaps one of the best flying units in a game. In my opinion, it's the second best flying unit in a game, but these things are so powerful. You can use them to scout, you can use them just to utterly destroy armies. I never really get much use out of Valley of the Kings, honestly, but the book is so good. It boosts your gatherers, just everything. Farms, huntable herds, bush picking, wood, and gold. And on top of that, you've even got a buff for your war elephants, which is just ridiculously good. Now, the alternative here is to go with Horus. Now, Horus isn't normally my go-to. Tornado is a little bit underwhelming, but it is pretty good against units. However, the crown jewel in Horus has to be the Avenger. This unit is the definition of glass cannon within this game. It has mad attack. It attacks very, very quick as well, attacking multiple targets at once. However, it doesn't necessarily have the best health. And to top it off, we do have a few extra things for infantry units. Now, right from the get-go, we get access to upgrade 2 very important things. One of them is for that extra faith with your monuments. The other one is clairvoyancy, which means we can use vision just so much quicker. It puts the cooldown quicker, and of course it means it's free, so you don't need any faith to use it. It's so overpowered, vision. Just wanted to show you the sheer size of the area of map that gets revealed. He is the ultimate scouting god. Now, the Egyptians train laborers. You can train up to 100 of these. I do recommend doing so. And they cost 50 food each. Now, as the Egyptians, of course, you have access to a very important special troop. That is your Pharaoh. With the Pharaoh, you can use him as a defense or attacking unit. But more importantly, he can empower buildings. And he can heal too. Now, when it comes to empowering buildings, you actually get an increased rate of harvest on faith if you use that on the monuments, but you can also use it on town centers or gold buildings or granaries, whatever you want to just work a little bit better. It will do the job for you. When it comes to the priests, they can also heal, but they can also scout as well. Not that you're going to need the extra scouts, of course. They also have the ability to erect a monument, again revealing a significant period of space on that map. It gives you a bit of a, if you manage to build them, they only cost 10 gold, and it gives you just a little bit of extra heads up when people are attacking you. Now, it's also through the priest that you can pick up relics. It does cost a single research in order to do it. I think it's like 75 gold, but it's definitely worth doing. Now, as the Egyptians in general, you get to build a lot of your buildings for absolutely free. So when it comes to your granaries, when it comes to your lumber mills, all of this you can be built free. Your houses can also be built for free as well. No resources required. In fact, when it comes to your buildings, pretty much the only resources ever going to cost you is gold. The Egyptians are gold hungry, so be prepared for that. And it's also in the lumberjacks or the lumber camps and the granaries in which you actually research and level up those abilities. Now, if you do have access to a lot of gold, as the Egyptians, you also have access to mercenaries, which is a unique troop that only the Egyptians have. The mercenaries are relatively strong. They got a half decent amount of health, a decent amount of attack. They train very, very quickly, but from the moment they are born or made, they do reduce in health until their eventual death. Now, we also get access to a unique building as the Egyptians. That is a lighthouse. Now, we don't necessarily need other ways to reveal the map, especially playing as this god, and perhaps you don't even need to build it as this god. However, it does reveal a significant portion of the map for only 300 gold. Now, we touched on the Pharaoh earlier in the video, the fact that you can use him to empower monuments, to empower your town center, or perhaps even a lumber camp. Now, what Set can do is summon animals. It's a great resource. It means you can get out extra troops. As you go up in the ages, you get access to bigger and better and more powerful animals as well. It does cost faith, however, so you're going to need quite a lot of faith in order to constantly do this. Now, if you hold the Y button on the Xbox, you can cycle with your D-pad to select the different type of animal that you want to summon. It can be really powerful, and it just gives you extra troops if needed. We also mentioned shifting sands earlier in the video as well. I wanted to go over just how good this is. Now, the Atlanteans have the ability to teleport a large number of an army over to wherever they can see. But as the Egyptians, you get access to this, that being an end game technology, by the way, as the Atlanteans. But as the Egyptians, you get access to that so early. Shifting Sands is really good. If you team that up with Vision, you're going to be literally teleporting armies in the middle of bases, just absolutely wrecking all strategy that they put together. Now, these little things used to be a little bit stronger. They did actually get nerfed, I think 25% health, so they're not the tankiest anymore. However, they are a ranged unit. They don't cost a particularly a massive amount of faith, and they cost wood, meaning you can actually make these really early on in your game. Not to mention, the Citadel is actually very useful. It does a significant buff to health of your building. Now, we are quite late into this playthrough, but as you can see, 5,000 plus health on your town center is pretty decent. You do also get a buff in attack to damage dealt, which is not bad. One of my surprise favorite units playing as Egyptians, I found had to be the Leviathan. Now, I play on a lot of maps involving a bit of water. Typically, I use transport ships. It turns out that the Leviathan, apart from costing rather a lot of money to make, has a decent amount of health, a decent attack, and can garrison a ton of troops. Seriously, don't sleep on Leviathan because he is really powerful. I've also mentioned in previous videos just how strong the War Elephant and the Chariot Archers actually are, but I've never really showed it on screen. Now, the War Elephants have a significant amount of health, and the Chariot Archers do a decent amount of damage. As you can see here, the War Elephants are holding up the advancing army, while the Chariot Archers are able just to pick them off from afar. It's a really great combo and my go-to while playing the Egyptians. And while I say they are my go-to, the crown jewel when it comes to playing as the Egyptians has to be the Phoenix. The Phoenix is great. It is an amazing unit. It costs a ton of resources, to be fair, but it is a unit that you can just use to scout, attack units, attack titans. It's the second best air unit in the game. And if one does fall in combat, you've got a chance for it to regrow, rebirth from an egg, and just to get it back. Now, one of the end game powers playing as Set is the Tornado. Now, typically I don't like going down this route. The Tornado isn't bad. It's really good against infantry units. It's not so good against buildings. As you can see, it doesn't really touch the Colossus there whatsoever. So it's something to watch out for. It also hurts your own players. For me, the obvious choice has to be Meteor. It is such a powerful ability, perhaps one of the most powerful abilities in the game. Combine that with Vision, don't forget, and you can hit it any time you want. If you've got your Wonder up, you're going to be able to hit Meteor repeatedly. It's going to be absolutely awful for whoever you're playing against. But there we go, guys. That is my guide to the Egyptians, to Set specifically. He's a great boss to play around with. If you have any other tips, if you have any other combos that you think works well, let me know down in the comments. Also, it'd be great to get more people in the Discord to have more multiplayer matches. But until next time, I'll be the monk who've been Criticus, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy and happy gaming.